The learnings Hilu Nishmas Etta Ahuva Bava Basra Perek Hey Mishna Yod Hasita Mikaneach Midaisav Achas Shloimie Yomi Ubalabayis Achas Shneim Asa Chodesh. So this Mishnah discusses when you sell liquids in a measuring kli. So, and you keep the measuring kli for yourself, you only pour out the liquid and give that to the lekeach. So if there's residue in the kli, the lekeach is going to be getting less liquid. So therefore, a wholesaler, a sitain, who sells very often, so he has to wipe out his measuring once every 30 days because there's more residue. But a balabais who sells less often, so he doesn't have to wipe it out as often because there's less residue. He only has to wipe it off achas Hashem asa chodesh once a year. He says as far as the haker, because the wholesaler sells so often, so the liquid never becomes hard, so there's less residue. So he only has to wipe it off once a year. It's the balabayas that he sells less often, and therefore the liquid that he sells becomes hard, turns into residue, and that minimizes the amount the lekeach gets, so he has to wipe it off more often, once every 30 days. Cheshvan, who sells more frequently than the wholesaler even, he sells the most frequently, so the Pashas you can learn this is going in the Tanakama. It's not only good enough for 30 days, he has to do even more often. Pamayim b'Shabbos, he has to clean it off twice a week. The Rashbam says a pshat that it's going even like Reb Shimon Gamliel, and the reason why a Cheshvan needs to clean it out so often is based on what we learned in the last Mishnah, that he's not mechuyev to be matif to gimel tipim, so therefore he's always going to be keeping, because we said because he's so busy, so therefore there's going to be residue left in his kalim because he doesn't have to totally empty it when he sells it to the prior lekeach. So in exchange for that, at least twice a week, he has to clean out his measuring kli. So this part of the Mishnah is talking about a scale. So the scale was in the olden days that there were two buckets, like the picture that you see on comes Rosh Hashanah. So on one side of the scale, you would put a stone. That was called the weight. That's called the mishkal. And that mishkal has to be cleaned off once a week. And because residue gets on it and makes it heavier, and the kli that of the scale that you put the meat in, that has to be cleaned out every single time you weigh. Mishnah Yud Aleph. Everything that we were talking about until now was wet measurements. By yavish, you don't need to clean it out. The Rashbam says because nothing gets stuck to the dry stuff doesn't get stuck to the kli. Now the Mishnah is continuing with the scale. So when you measure the scale, the pashas, it should have to be even. So if you have a 1 pound stone and you're selling 1 pound of meat, so they would be exactly even. But the Mishnah is saying, and the Gemara says that this is dafka b'makom shenagu, in a place where the minig is to do such a thing, then you have to make that the meat part that you're selling goes down lower a tefach. In other words, you're giving away more than a pound's worth of meat. But the Mishnah continues, that's dafka in a place where the minig was like that. But if the minig's not like that, and you're shekel la'ayin ba'ayin, and you're doing it exactly shava b'shava, you still have to give him a little extra meat, but not that much, not a tefach lower worth of meat. But noisin like gerumov, you have to give him gerumov, which the Mishnah tells him how much that is. Echad la'asar belach, 1/10 of a litra for 10 litra of lach, which translates 1/10 ratio to 10, it translates to 100th. And echad la'esim biyavish, even by yavish, you have to give him more. And that amount, the Gemara is mistapik, it's either 1/200th, 1/200, or 1/400. And this halacha is a din, not totally in the makom of minig. Every place you have to do this. The Gemara learns out from a pasuk, because it says Eifa Shloimie v'tzedek. The word tzedek is extra, so we learn tzadek mishalach v'tenloi, that you have to give extra from yours to him. Makom shenagu lama b'daka l'yama b'gasa, a place where the minig is to use a smaller kli, you can't use a bigger one, because then it's going to be a loss of the lekeach, because this halacha that we learned of chayiv lahachriya, it doesn't make a difference how much, if I'm selling him a pound's worth or 10 pounds. Either way, we said chayiv lahachriya leitefach, it has to go a tefach lower. So Mela, if you are using different size, if you, let's say, sell to him in 10 separate kalims, 10 separate dakas, and then you're going to give a hechra, you're going to give extra on each time, as opposed to if you're selling it in one gasa, you're only going to give one hechra. So the lekech is going to be losing out if you use a gasa where the place where the minig was to use a daka, a smaller one. And the other way around also, begasa liyama bedaka. And then the Mishnah says, similarly, limchag leyigdaish, a place where the minig was to smooth out the top, you're not allowed to keep it as a pile, even if the price is going up because of that. And ligdaish leyimchag, the opposite as well. The Gemara just says one thing. The Gemara speaks about the chumras of measuring and stealing. One memra from the Gemara, Amar Reb Levi says, Kadsha oinsha shel midas yesher me oinshin shel arayis. And midas, the punishment for cheating on measurement, is even more hard than the punishment of arayis.